The time has come, it's very clear. The car you've wanted is really here. It's delightful, it's lovely, it's DeSoto. You'll understand the reasons why. For once you drive it, you'll want to buy. It's delightful, it's lovely, it's DeSoto. You can tell.
No doubt about it. The 1956 DeSoto is the greatest DeSoto ever. The most beautiful DeSoto ever. Now, you and I know that. But you can't expect that Mercury-minded prospects will know that our 56 DeSoto is better or more beautiful than Mercury. So let's get the facts for those Mercury-minded prospects. Let's compare a DeSoto Fire Dome four-door sedan with a Mercury Montclair Sport sedan. And we'll be giving Mercury every break, the benefit of every doubt. Because the Montclair is Mercury's most expensive line, while the Fire Dome, as you know, is DeSoto's least expensive line. Now, this year, Mercury has decided to beat the drum about safety. They're introducing several safety features this year. They're going all out to make the public acutely conscious of safety. Well, that's okay with us, because if a prospect wants safety first, we have plenty of DeSoto safety features to sell. But first, there's something else a prospect might be interested in. It's quite possible that Mercury is making a big to-do about safety this year for the simple reason that they have little else to blow about. Let's do some kibitzing. Let's compare styling, first of all. The lines, the trim, the zip and zing that the style-conscious prospect wants and any new car ought to have. Well, the DeSoto has just that. With flight sweep styling, DeSoto is a completely new-looking car for 1956. The fresh, youthful spirit of the original Ford look has been retained. But DeSoto has made a lot of changes for 56 with new styling features that set the owner of a 56 apart from his neighbors. And Mercury? Well, except for a few variations in the chrome, differences between this year's and last year's Mercury are pretty hard to detect. Let's study the details. Among other things, DeSoto's beautiful grille is entirely new, completely restyled for your 56 market. But the changes in Mercury's grille amount to little more than a rearrangement of chrome. Prospects want to be shown how DeSoto's rear end is distinguished by radically new and different taillight assemblies, flanking a broad, sloping rear deck. As for Mercury, the man on the street who sees it from the rear won't be able to tell if it's a 56 or a 55. DeSoto proudly displays a brand-new upswept fender. Anyone can see at a glance that it's new, exciting, and definitely 1956. The shape of Mercury's uninteresting fender is identical to last year's. DeSoto's chrome side molding is boldly different this year, emphasizing even more the long, low forward look. Mercury's side molding has simply been dropped a few inches. And especially when we point out the color sweep, the change in DeSoto's side chrome treatment is even more dramatic and pleasing. Well, pretty obviously, Mercury hasn't much to blow about in the way of styling this year. But how about comfort? Could they have shouted comfort as well as safety? Not in comparison with a big DeSoto. Roominess and riding comfort depend on size, and DeSoto is 14 inches longer and 2.4 inches wider than Mercury. Then, the Fire Dome tips the scales at some 400 pounds more than the Montclair. Those added pounds mean curve-clinging weight for a solid ride. DeSoto's 126-inch wheelbase is 7 inches longer than Mercury's. Be sure to emphasize how this longer wheelbase helps level out the bumps for DeSoto owners. Again, making DeSoto the comfort leader of its price class. On the inside, DeSoto's living room, the distance from the instrument panel to the back of the rear seat, is a full 6 1/2 inches longer than Mercury's. How does this pay off in comfort for owners? Well, there's a full 2 inches more leg room in the front compartment of the DeSoto, and almost 3 inches more hip room, too. There are 4 inches more leg room in the rear DeSoto compartment, and the rear seat provides 3 1/2 inches more hip room. And to your prospects, those figures mean just one thing: more comfort. A bigger car with more room to stretch and relax and enjoy the ride. Delightful comfort in a lovely setting. Comfort, styled for the superhighway age. There's more headroom in the DeSoto, rear seat and front, So the average Mercury owner who is used to carrying his hat will find that he can wear it in a Desoto. Door openings are 4 inches higher than they are in a Mercury. So that Mercury-minded prospect may be surprised when you show him how easily he can get in and out of your Desoto. Desoto has comfort you can demonstrate on the road, too. First, there's a luxurious foam rubber front seat cushion. It's nearly 2 inches higher than the Mercury's. Now, this kind of comfort pays off on long trips. Of course, only Desoto has the amazing ORIFLOW shock absorbers to control the comfort of this big car on any road surface. ORIFLOWs work all the time, not just when there's a big bump to cushion. And that's why your demonstration ride is so free of all that chatter and vibration which can be so annoying in many other cars. Finally, an important part of traveling comfort means plenty of storage space for luggage, camping equipment, and so on. So, here's how Desoto and Mercury compare. At its narrowest point inside, Desoto's luggage compartment is 4 inches wider than Mercury's. And it's 4 inches deeper, too. Now, while we're talking about dimensions, it's only fair to point out that Mercury does make a larger four-door than the Montclair sports sedan we've been talking about. It's the Monterey four-door, a cheaper car than the sports sedan, but a larger car because it has a higher, longer roof panel. But the Desoto sedan is larger even than the Monterey four-door in every dimension we've talked about. As a matter of fact, any Desoto sedan is bigger than any Mercury sedan. And any Desoto hardtop is bigger than any Mercury hardtop. Because Desoto is a bigger car than the Big M. Styling, comfort, performance. Could Mercury beat the drum this year about performance? Well, let's lift the hoods. And do a little snooping. After all, there are still plenty of prospects around who are interested in what makes a car run. And those prospects won't be disappointed in this year's great new Firedome and Fireflight engines. Still the only engines in Desoto's class with hemispherical combustion chambers. Here's the chamber, smoothly rounded inside. That gives carbon the old heave-ho before it even has a chance to form. Because there just aren't any nooks and crannies where carbon can collect. Not in the Desoto engine. Mercury, well, that's a different story. Plenty of angular corners and pockets in this combustion chamber, aren't there? And don't think carbon won't collect there like soot in a chimney. The trouble is, carbon is a thief. It steals an engine's power, it steals an engine's smoothness, and costs money, too. Frequent tune-ups and an occasional decarbonizing job. Well, Desoto's dome-shaped combustion chambers reject this carbon. And that's one reason Desoto engines continue to give smooth, dependable peak performance, even after thousands of miles of service. More economical service, too. And that'll interest any prospect. Less fuel waste, lower maintenance costs, no expensive carbon removal. The economical Desoto engines also have hydraulic valve lifters, which Mercury still does not use. Hydraulic valve lifters are quiet, and they never need adjusting. And Desoto spark plugs have a longer tip than Mercury's. The longer tip extends deeper into the chamber, assuring a cleaner spark and better burning, and allowing the use of a leaner fuel mixture. All this adds up to more power. We have 255 horsepower in the Fireflight and 230 in the Firedome. The Mercury Montclair has 225, and other Mercuries have 210 horsepower. Those figures mean more reserve power for the Desoto driver, and faster breakaway, smoother cruising, more get up and go, more life, more driving fun. Now, you can't very well talk about performance without mentioning quick starting. Your prospects want that. Yes, and they want the convenience of being able to use headlights, radio, heater, cigar lighters, dash, and map lights, all without fear of draining the battery. All of these own benefits, plus a hotter spark at the plug, stem from a crackerjack electrical system. And this year, Desoto's really got it with a unique new 12-volt system that includes a big new generator, big new battery, and a new voltage regulator. Now, Mercury does have a 12-volt system. But Desoto's system, unlike Mercury's, is designed to keep charging. That is, keep storing up electrical power, even at very slow traffic speeds, and without racing the engine to do it. Consequently, DeSoto owners always have plenty of juice in reserve for cold starts, and they can use accessories in slow traffic without fear of draining the battery. That's an impressive point to many prospects. Many other prospects are most interested in a car that's easy to drive. So the 56 DeSoto steps forward with features that are sure to make driving easier and more enjoyable for everyone who gets behind the wheel. Now here's one that's revolutionary: push-button driving control. This is one of the hottest selling features we've ever had. It's one of the greatest convenience features ever developed for a driver. These 4 little buttons, grouped together with an easy reach on the instrument panel, make all driving, even rocking out of mud and snow, as simple as switching stations on the radio. It really is that simple. By comparison, Mercury's lever is old-fashioned, awkward to use, with the ranges far apart. Well, no matter how thin you slice it, this Mercury selector is still the old gear shift lever transplanted from the floorboard onto the steering column. And being located on the right side of the steering column, Mercury's lever can be a tempting gadget for kids to tinker with. It can even be potentially dangerous to passengers in case of an accident. But DeSoto's push-button control is in a safe place on the instrument panel, to the left of the steering wheel itself, where nobody can get at it except the driver of the car. DeSoto's full-time power steering is another great convenience feature you can demonstrate. First, because it works all the time, regardless of driving conditions. And second, you can turn from full left to full right with only 3.5 turns of the DeSoto steering wheel. That means quick turning in an emergency. Mercury requires 5 turns. Of course, DeSoto power steering goes to work the instant you turn the wheel. Mercury's is a you-pull-first system. The driver must apply up to 4 pounds of his own effort before Mercury's unit gives him any help. DeSoto's power steering is more dependable, too, because it's a coaxial system built right into the car, with the working parts located well above road level, so they're protected from mud and flying stones. But Mercury's is a linkage system, purchased from an outside supplier and simply added on to the steering linkage. It's exposed, vulnerable, and tends to be noisy. Well, it's easy to see why Mercury is beating the safety drum after we've seen what they offer in the way of styling, comfort, performance, and driving ease. But just what is Mercury's safety story? Mercury offers seat belts, and so does DeSoto. Mercury offers crash padding on the instrument panel at extra cost, and a safety steering wheel. Mercury rightfully boasts of a safety door latch. It isn't quite as sturdy as DeSoto's, but both latches will help prevent a lot of injuries. And there's the keystone of Mercury's safety story. Mercury stresses injury prevention. DeSoto stresses accident prevention. Point out to your prospects that we do more to help a driver control his car and keep an accident from happening. Let's take the biggest factor in a car's safety: the brakes. This year, DeSoto has increased brake lining area 25%, to a grand total of 251 square inches. Mercury has increased their lining area not at all. Still stands at 191. That gives DeSoto a whopping big advantage of 60 square inches in brake lining area. And don't forget, it's the brake lining that stops the car. In addition, DeSoto's completely new center-plane brakes have floating shoes. Center-plane design means the shoes will make full contact with the big 12-inch drums every time you touch your foot to the pedal. By contrast, Mercury's anchored shoes can only make partial contact, and Mercury's drums are only 11 inches in diameter. Now, these are facts your prospect should know. Now, 3 very important owner benefits result from this hand-and-glove union of linings and drums that we get with DeSoto's floating shoe center-plane brakes. 1, brake fade is minimized. You can make a number of high-speed stops with DeSoto center-plane brakes and still maintain braking control. 2, The pedal pressure required for any stop is about 25% less than it would be with the ordinary type drum and shoe brake. And 3, the Desoto buyer gets 50% more lining life. As a matter of fact, the average driver should get up to 20,000 extra miles before he needs a reline job because of the unique design of these Desoto center plane brakes. Besides all this, a Desoto with power flight has an 8-inch brake pedal. It's just as easy to reach with the left foot as with the right. Hardly the case with Mercury's 4 3/4-inch pedal. Then there's Desoto's famous independent parking brake. It's a separate system that works on the drive shaft, so it can be used in an emergency if anything should happen to the service brakes. Mercury's parking brake, of course, is just a mechanical linkage to the rear service brakes. Then, only Desoto has safety rim wheels, which can prevent accidents by keeping the tire on the rim in case of tire failure. This allows the driver to bring his car to a safe, controlled stop. Of course, Desoto drivers get a safer view of the road because there's no eye-level blind spot with Desoto's New Horizon full wraparound windshield. Mercury's straight corner post cuts off eye-level vision. Desoto's windshield gives you more seeing area because the windshield opening itself is both wider and higher than the Mercury Montclair's. And for bad weather visibility, Desoto has electric windshield wipers. They keep going at the same rate of speed no matter whether you're accelerating, hill climbing, or just idling. By contrast, Mercury's wipers are the vacuum type Desoto abandoned years ago. They vary with engine speed and are apt to slow down or even stop whenever you speed up. So you see, for accident prevention, Desoto offers bigger brakes, wider brake pedal, independent parking brake, safety rim wheels, safer vision, and electric wipers. Add to those a safer power steering system, safer transmission operation, and more reserve power. In short, greater safety. So, that's the story. There are the facts. And it all adds up to this. It's more beautiful to look at, this delightful, the lovely Desoto for 1956. It's more fun and satisfaction to own, more economical to maintain, safer to drive. And you'll be able to get agreement from your prospects. Their eyes will tell them that Desoto is smarter and more elegant than Mercury. Their senses will tell them that Desoto is more comfortable to ride in, more exciting to drive. And if you tell the whole story, their good judgment will tell them that Desoto is a safer car to drive. Delightful, lovely Desoto, designed, styled, and built for this superhighway age.
Make sure you see and drive the new Desoto. Why, man alive! It's delightful, it's lovely, it's delirious, it's the living, and it's the latest, it's the limit, it's the luck, it's Desoto.